interesting shift since the new rule on brokers where they're now accountable for accidents based on if they allow a trucking company to haul their freight and they haven't been vetted. So what's happening now in trucking, which is kind of really interesting, trucking companies that have a low safety score are now struggling to get freight from brokers. Now, why is that? Obviously, because of the new rule where if a broker gives a load to a company and they're any company, the company goes out and has an accident, that broker now shares in the blame, and they didn't before. So what's happening is now brokers are vetting trucking companies. So if you're a trucking company and you have a crappy record, or you're famous for changing DOT numbers, or you're a chameleon carrier, which is the same thing, you are finding it hard to get freight. Now, what is that doing to a company like that? Well, obviously, it's going to either make them shut down or raise their game. So in the times past, these crapper companies, let's be honest, okay, I'm going to call you guys a crapper company because you're in the crapper, all right, for the simple reason, I'll be straight, a lot of it comes out of Chicago. You guys will go and invest almost nothing. This is the part where you think it's, you're going to try to get rich off some trucker. You'll invest almost nothing. You'll get a couple 10, 15-year-old tractors that are just junk. I mean, let's be honest. They're just junk. And then what you'll do is you'll go and you'll pay, like, for example, 70 cents per mile or some, really good rate. But because you have crap equipment, because you probably are new, because you may have a crappy safety record, the really good drivers don't want to work for you. This is the truth. You guys should know this. So then you go and you hire your second-rate drivers. And I mean guys that have failed drug screens, guys that have very, very bad safety records. You will go ahead and take a chance on hiring them. And then, in times past, this is how you kept your junky company going. You would form a really nasty company with nasty equipment. You 1099 these guys, and then you'll bring them in, and this is what you do. You'll hire them and you'll you'll give them an escrow, which is not legal. You are not legally allowed to take a company driver and take an escrow out on this guy because you're going to keep it anyways. And plus 1099, and I'll say it again, everybody should know, if you go on the .irs site and look up 1099 employee rather, the only way you can 1099 somebody is if they brought their own equipment, they have their own say-so in the matter. You don't tell them where they have to go, or else they are a employee, which needs to be W-2. So this is how you've been getting away with your actual running your crappy company. All right. So now what happened? Here's where the kibosh comes in. All right. Oh, by the way, Ruthann is not here today, and so that's why you haven't heard her yet. She'll be at the truck show this week, and we'll be there this week. So come on out and see us. But anyways, going back to this little deal here. So what happened when the accidents, happened with C.H. Robinson, and they were held liable. And what happened is now you've got a brokers that are their feet are being held to the fire. So now in turn, the brokers are going, okay, now we got to be careful who we give freight to. Why? Because let's be honest, of you crappy companies. Okay. Yeah. A good driver can still have an accident, but you crapper companies hire drivers that are really, honestly, drivers that have bad records. They have bad safety ratings. They have lots of, what we call pattern a pattern of moving violations. And when you see a driver that has patterns, two speeding a year or a stop sign, and you just keep going back for the last 5-10 years, and this guy has ticket here, ticket there, he's constantly not regarding the rules. All right, that guy is an accident waiting to happen. Hence, now the vetting of these companies, they don't want to take a chance on a crapper company. It's not even the driver now. It's the crapper company that has a bad safety rating, that has a bad reputation, and especially those that probably have a DOT number that literally has been recently begotten within the last 90 days. You're having a hard time finding freight yourself. And that's really what's going on with this new rule in trucking. Now, here's what you got to know. That new rule has really driven freight rates up. How'd that happen, Troy? Well, because now it's forced a lot of companies to not hire the bad drivers. This is why a lot of truck drivers are being driven out of the industry. You guys are being forced out of the industry because you have no regard for the rule. Now, listen, if you're a good trucker, I'm not talking to you. But you guys that are driving 80,000 pounds down the road, weaving in and out of traffic, getting reckless and carelesses, erratic drivings, improper lane change, getting all kinds of tickets for going down the road in a wrong, unsafe manner, you are literally the reason. You are the reason why. Okay, these companies are vetting are vetting companies now. But guess what? There's also the enabling, which comes from the companies that are desperate. Because let's be honest, if I formed a trucking company right now, and I didn't really have a lot of money, but I could get myself, like, say, a 2005 Freightliner. Okay, you already know it's going to be a piece of garbage. I don't care what you say. Even if you have a new motor in there, it's still going to be worn out. Okay, the seats are going to be worn out. It's going to smell. It's going to, just bearings, everything. The truck is seriously going to be a piece of garbage. So therefore, I'm not going to get the guy that's been with the same company for the last 5-10 years. That guy's not going to come and work for me. Why? Well, because first off, yeah, I'm going to offer a decent wage, but I'm not going to offer W-2, right? I'm going to offer $10.99. I'm going to offer 70 cents a mile, but you're going to drive a piece of garbage, and you're going to haul, are you ready? Mainly broker freight. And that's the other thing. When you have a small, I know I call them crapper companies, but they're crapper companies. When you have a company that has old trucks and all they have is spot market freight, all right, the only thing I'm going to get is a bad driver. Why? Because I don't have anything to offer him. Nothing. And those drivers are now going to have to come, and they're going to have to work for brokers. They're going to have to run the Northeast where nobody wants to run. They're going to have to do everything they don't like to because they've developed a pattern of bad driving, and now they're in a pickle and they're desperate. And this is exactly what you have in today's market. And this is why, I know I kind of went around this, but this is why, drivers, this is why the actual rates have gone up. Driver pay is going up like crazy. Freight is really booming for a lot of companies because we've had a reduction. We didn't have a reduction in companies, well, some, but what we have a reduction in is who the brokers are giving their loads to. And therefore, now the brokers are having to be more picky, which means they have less choice of who they're giving their freight to, which means they have to pay more now because supply and demand is tightening up. All because of that shift in the market. And that's really, a lot of people, I know a lot of people understand that, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people, do you think it just magically all of a sudden got better and rates are going up and you're getting more freight? No, the freight, there's not more freight right now. What it is it's less people that are able to take it because of the vetting going on. And that's the truth. So anyways, I am going to stop being a dead horse. I'm going to move on to the next subject. Actually, let me just take a little break here and talk about a sponsor, Truck parking club. I know some people say they don't want to pay for parking, and I never paid for parking. But guess what? With such a bad tightening up area, you see construction going on everywhere. Truck parking is getting harder and harder, especially if you go to the Northeast. Drivers are getting tickets if they pull over on the off ramp. I used to be able to sleep on the off ramp. Sometimes I got chased, sometimes I didn't, but I never got a ticket. That's not happening anymore. A lot of drivers are getting these tickets. A lot of drivers are running out of hours, and then they can't find a parking space at a truck stop. Guess what? Sign up is free for Truck Parking Club. If you sign up, you may need them in a pinch. All you have to do is tap on the app, and you can find a parking space when you really, really need it. Why not have them in your back pocket? And if you're a landowner, sign up with Truck Parking Club, and you could turn your land into spaces for truckers and get paid. Anyways, moving on to the next sponsor, which should be Hey Bubba. Hey Bubba is the best AI dispatcher out there. It's just a matter of saying, "Hey Bubba, find me a load from West Virginia, from Wheeling, West Virginia to Dallas, Texas." And if the rates come in and you don't like them, you can tell Bubba, "I want higher rates." Bubba, literally the AI will call the broker and negotiate higher rates for you. That's also free to sign up. And the first 90 days is free. That's how confident they feel that you will like it. They can pre-dispatch you if you have a small fleet. Hey Bubba can literally have your 5, 10, even 1,000 trucks pre-dispatched every day, every week, and the drivers all know where they're going for the rest of the week. That's how good Hey Bubba is. Sign up is free. Check them out. Let TalkCDL know how you like Hey Bubba. Okay, and by the way, Hey Bubba and Truck Parking Club will be at the truck show this week in Houston. All right, I wanted to bring up a couple things real quick that I was reading in the news. Check this out, and this is an interesting, and I want to talk about this a little bit. The title says R&L Carriers owes $6 million to family after fatal crash in Illinois. Now, here's what happened. Okay, I'm going to read it and we'll talk about it. So it says a jury delivered a verdict last month against R&L Carriers after a man driving a vehicle in Illinois rear-ended a slow-moving tractor with a double combination trailer re-entering a highway. Okay, so what happened? Well, here, let me just read a little bit more, just so you understand the money. It says the jury awarded over $10 million to the family of a man who left behind a wife, 2 daughters, and a son. Jurors assigned 40% of the negligence to the deceased driver and 60% to the carrier and its truck driver, resulting in a $6 million award. So what happens is the jury's got to look, and they've got to consider everything. Okay, so what happened was the R&L tractor trailer driver was on the side of the highway, right? And he pulls out. It says here. Let me find it here. It says the crash happened on November of 2020. So this has been going on for a while. It says the weekday of the morning of at 5:20 a.m. on Interstate 55 in Pittman Township, south of Springfield, according to an amended complaint. It says the truck driver pulled onto the interstate from the shoulder at about 5 to 10 miles per hour on a 70 mile an hour highway. The law firm for the family said in a verdict announcement the truck was trying to accelerate from a stop position but did so improperly and without signaling, according to the complaint. It says John Barnes was driving his 2015 Chevy Express when he was unable to react and died, according to the law firm. Now, here's what you got to know. This is why they assign 40%, because most likely, like anybody, we should be watching. And if we're being honest, there's also a thing called the move over law these days. So, I guess what they're saying, he probably could have at least seen the vehicle up ahead and tried to get out. If you can't get out, what's the rule? You are supposed to know the law and slow down. Now, I'm just guessing that that's why maybe they blamed the guy that died, John, 40% of the blame. But realistically, R&L Carriers, their driver, he really got the main blame. He got 60%. Now, listen, drivers, this is what I'm going to talk to you about. This driver, no turn signal, he just pulled right out. And obviously, if the guy hit him that hard and died, then obviously he pulled out in front of traffic coming. Now, we as truckers, we can be arrogant, all right? We can literally be arrogant, and we can say, hey, you know what? If they don't move over, tough crap. We've all done that, actually, okay? You know what? I'm going to move my big truck out there, and they're going to move because they don't want to die. And guess what? Sometimes an accident happens, like John, like, what was his name? John Barnes or whatever his name was. He literally obviously didn't move over, and he was the one that rear-ended the trucker. But what I'm trying to get at, drivers, some of these guys are not only, going to be fired and not have a job for the rest of their life, but if they can prove negligence, you see that guy in Texas, that 27-year-old young guy that said he fell asleep at the wheel because the trucking company was pushing him, and he rear-ended, stopped traffic, and killed 5 people. He's going to jail for 30 years. Okay, 30 years, never had a problem ever. And really what I wanted to talk to you drivers about is you guys got to really, really, really start being more careful. If you're on the side of the highway, I don't care if it takes an hour for a good break in traffic, and you use your turn signals, put your 4-ways on even as you're coming out so traffic could see that you're coming out. Another thing is start driving on the berm to get up a little bit of speed before you do come out, and get out, okay, in a safe manner, drivers, or don't come out at all. And if at all possible, don't pull off on the side of the road. Many trucking companies have an explicit rule that you cannot pull off on the side of a road. You have to pull, and they don't even want you pulling off on off ramps either. What they want you to do is pull into a parking lot or a truck stop, into what we call a safe haven. You are not permitted to do that. Drivers, if you don't have patience, eventually you are going to be in an accident, and pray that it's not a major accident like this just happened. Because if we're being honest, that man's family lost a father and a husband and a provider of the family. Okay. All right. But the truck driver himself, let me tell you what he lost. He lost a chance probably of getting a job as a truck driver ever again. Because I'm going to tell you something. I talk to trucking companies all day long. And I have recently talked to some truckers that had a homicide 20 years ago. I talked to a guy the other day. He had a manslaughter 23. I'm not even talking about a trucking accident. He had a manslaughter 20 years ago, did his time. He's been out of prison 10 years. He can't get a job. Why? Because anytime death is involved, it's like taboo. You kill somebody with your tractor trailer, and I'm going to tell you something. You will almost have to go to what we were just talking about before, a crapper company. And most likely, even the crapper companies are now bringing their standard up, and their insurance companies are cracking down on this stuff. Drivers, you pretty much are going to lose your career when you have an arrogance to yourself, where you think, I'm just going to pull out in front of traffic. I'm going to force my way out. And I've seen it. I see it all the time. Truck drivers doing U-turns on highways, and people have to literally lock their brakes up to stop because of the way some drivers are driving. You guys got to start taking care of yourselves. And I'm not talking to the truckers that are safe drivers, that are working right, that are providing and not job hopping and not driving unsafe and abiding by the rules, basically. I'm talking to you guys that think, hey, I'm a trucker, F you, I'll do what I want with my 70 feet of truck. Trust me, it all catches up to you. Tickets shut you down. I know listen, we get so many calls and emails here, and truckers are like, hey, can you tell me where somebody will hire a guy that's a SAP, a substance abuse driver, a guy that failed the drug screen, his clearinghouse is bad. I'll get another guy writing into me, do you know anybody that can take a guy with 4 tickets? Hey, I have guys that'll call me, I had a careless driving. Guys, you don't want a careless. You don't want a reckless. You don't want any of that. as a professional truck driver, you have to guard that CDL. Drivers, that's your life. That's your career. It literally is. It's a trade that's in your pocket. And if you don't have any respect for that CDL, you're going to eventually lose it. And, some of you guys are giving me the middle finger right now, thinking that I'm some guy just getting on your case. And yes, I am getting on your case. You know why? Because I love this industry. I grew up in this industry. I grew up around truckers as a young boy. I grew up in a garage with tractor trailers, and diesel smoke. And I was on a creeper underneath the truck, greasing things, banging my head, doing all that crap and listening to truckers and my grandfather's trucker buddies and employees. I grew up listening to those guys talk and give me advice, and they were respectable guys that worked 100 million hours a week, and they were real truckers. And now, you start seeing these guys that have no freaking respect for that card that's in their pocket. Guys, you better get respect or the industry is going to kick your ass right out. And this guy here that pulled out in front of it, doesn't matter. His side of the story matters no more. It doesn't. He's going to call trucking companies and he's going to try to make it sound like it wasn't what it was. And they're still going to go, look, bottom line, you killed somebody. You're done. We can't hire you. That guy has got to find a new career. I'm telling you, you guys have to start listening to the rules. Okay? No U-turns. No parking in certain areas. No backing out into traffic. No making dangerous moves. No trying to force your way out when a four-wheeler is just riding alongside you. No trying to scare them. Have patience. Back off. Back off and be the better man and be the more safer, stronger driver. And I'm going to go ahead and move on. Okay, I ranted enough about that. But you guys be careful. Let's move on to the next subject here, okay? Let me tell you what it is. It's interesting. An interesting topic here. I'm looking at a picture here, and this is crazy. It's on CDL Life. Truck driver ticketed after sudden stop on Florida interstate sends lumber crashing through cab. I'm going to read that again. A trucker, he got ticketed because he came to a sudden stop, and the lumber literally demolished his. He's lucky he's alive. It's a crazy picture. Listen to this. It says a truck driver was cited following a load shift and lumber spill in Hillsborough County, Florida on Thursday. The incident occurred around 7:20 a.m. right off of I-75 near Apollo Beach, Florida. The Florida Highway Patrol said a 31-year-old truck driver was hauling a load of lumber and braked suddenly due to traffic, causing the lumber to crash forward into the cab of the truck and to spill off the trailer onto the roadway. Guys, you know what that's code for? The guy was either texting and driving, or he was doing something. He wasn't looking. He was distracted. And I can guarantee you, most likely he was not paying attention, looking at his phone or doing something stupid, right? And then looked up and, oh my gosh, look at that. And he locked them up. Didn't rear end anybody, but he had to hit the brakes so hard that freaking lumber came flying through. And I mean, it demolished the cab. Drivers, do you know that every day there's crashes in the United States by truckers because they're distracted and they literally ruin their career? Stupidity. Again, you have to treat that CDL with respect. And this driver, he's another one. Let me tell you what's going to happen to this guy. He's going to go apply for another job. This guy that just had the lumber go through, he's going to apply for another job. And guess what the trucking company that calls that company for a reference is going to hear? They're going to say, hey, what's your email address? I want to send you the last picture of his day here with our company. And he's going to send him this picture of the load going through this guy's cab, and that guy's never going to get a job. I'm just saying, you guys got to start treating every day like the public is going to cause you into an accident. Something's going to happen. Hold that steering wheel. There's a front wheel going to blow. You should be cautious all the way because you literally can make a good living in trucking, but you're not going to unless you start driving more cautiously. Come on, drivers. I love you guys. You guys got to stop this crap. All right. Let me see. I had one more thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. But you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and just sign off. Ruthann's not with me. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and sign off. And again, listen, all you good truck drivers, honestly, kudos to you guys. I mean that. You guys actually don't get enough credit. You know why you good truckers don't get enough credit? Because the industry and everybody in the public is concentrating on the bad ones. The bad ones are the ones that get attention. I guess it's kind of a good thing when you don't get attention. But the problem is everybody links the bad truckers with everybody, okay? And therefore, everybody thinks the trucking industry is horrible. And it really is not horrible. If you're a guy that literally drives your loads, you're safe, okay, you get the job done, you go home, you have a family, your bills are paid, and you have a trucking family, and the family stands behind that guy, and that guy loves his job, and the company loves him, and safety loves him, and they don't ever have to worry about that guy because they know that guy's out there representing their company. It's sad when that guy literally is overlooked because the industry has to worry about the guys screwing up. So hats off to the good truck driver. I want to really say that. Awesome. You guys really are awesome. You guys that do it all and don't ask for a pat on the back. I'll tell you who the guy is. Truthfully, you know the guy who is at brags? He's the guy that screws up a lot. You don't hear the guy that really is good out there tooting his own horn. You really don't, because that guy's humble. And you want to know what that means? That's a guy that don't get in road rage. He doesn't get into having a problem in traffic and driving like a dumbass. That guy's humble, and usually humility gets you safe driving awards. Why? Well, because he backs off. He doesn't stay around the problem. He just does his thing. He's like the tortoise in the hare. He's the tortoise. He just keeps on chugging along in a safe manner. Puts in his 3,000 miles for the week, and he gets paid. He goes home and with no incident. And that's really hats off to you guys. I mean that. You guys are the best. We love you guys. I'm going to sign off. Again, stop out at the truck show and shake hands with us. Come on over. We'll have some podcast equipment there. Stop in. We'll do an interview with you guys if you want to stop in and jump on the show with us. We love you guys. And we want to say thank you to everybody that supports the show. You guys that send us videos and pictures, and you send us all kind of things. Just drivers are constantly telling us, some of you guys are like, I've been listening to you guys since you guys were like back in 2015, at the end of 2015 when you started the podcast, November of 15. Some of you guys are smiling right now going, yep, I've been with you guys for a long time. And we thank you for that. You guys don't think that we realize how you guys have taken care of us. We love you guys. I mean that. Ruthann has always, Ruthann sticks up for everybody, believe me. So thank you for everything you do. And write in if you guys want to get on the show. We just interviewed the president of the Ohio Trucking Association, and we're interviewing people. We've got so many interviews that are in edit, that are in our archive right now, waiting to be uploaded, video interviews. And we've interviewed guys that called in and said, man, I want to tell you about a rollover, what it's like to go through a rollover. We've interviewed guys that have been in head-on collisions. We've interviewed guys that have been literally shot out there on the road. We've interviewed the FBI, talking to us and telling us about serial killers. We've had these guys on the show, and we welcome any one of you truck drivers, any one of you people that are really trucking related. Let me just tell you one other thing. We have people that send us inventions, okay? And the reason I tell you is because we just had another guy that emailed us the other night about a product that he wanted us to look at and give the opinion. And our thing is this: if you guys out there that are inventors have a invention that is beneficial to the trucking industry, especially drivers, we will happily introduce it to our audience for you. Honestly, we will. But if it's something that we don't feel is going to be that great, we're not going to pester our drivers with every solicitation. But if it's something we think drivers are going to like, we'll gladly put it on the show for you guys. So we're always looking for things to improve the trucking industry on our end. So keep us in mind. If you want to write to me, it's Troy@TalkCDL.com. That's Troy@TalkCDL.com. Or you can write Ruthann. Ruthann, I call her the keeper of the calendar. She sets up interviews. Her email is Ruthann, Ruthann. There's no E at the end. It's Ruthann @TalkCDL.com. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Trucking companies, we get hats and stuff like that. Sometimes we'll do videos and we'll wear your hat. You want to send us a hat or a t-shirt? We'll wear it for one of our videos. If you want to be part of one of the largest trucking podcasts, we welcome that also. And we're actually have room for a sponsor right now. We have a handful of sponsors, but if you want to sponsor the show, write in and we'll give you our rates. We'll make you a commercial and we'll put you on the show, and you'll also have free advertisement every month with TalkCDL. If you're interested, send us an email. Anyways, thank you so much. I'm out of here. Peace. Praise the Lord.